Hey, this is Lacey Sturm, and you're watching Loudwire.
Hey everyone, Gruhamed here for Loudwire, and I'm very happy to say that I'm joined today by Lacey Sturm, of course, formerly of Flyleaf, and about to release the new solo album, Life Screams. Thank you so much for dropping by today, spending some time with me. New album, really enjoying it. Awesome. And I've loved your voice for a long time, ever since the first Flyleaf record. And I think fans have always really gravitated towards your voice, especially even though Flyleaf was like a very balanced band when it came to like riffs and all that stuff like that. So with Life Screams, were you kind of conscious of wanting to make this more centered on your voice?
No,
okay.
I wasn't conscious of it, but it definitely was more of like whatever was my vision, you know, just
Sure.
In the band there was a lot more, you know, it was more communal, you know, it's like we're trying to incorporate everybody's vision, you know, and honor everybody's ideas, you know, but this is, since it's a solo project, it's just, we get to work on it until it comes out as much as of my vision as it is. And of course, as a singer, I want to center around the message and the vocals, you know, if that's where it's coming from. But sometimes the message comes through the bass or the guitar or the drums, you know, and so that's important to me. So if there's, so my husband plays guitar too,
right,
so
yeah.
I'm like, obviously, and that's like swoon anyway. So I'm like, I like listening to him anyway. So it's. So there's definitely elements of guitar-centered moments.
Cool. What's that element like when it comes to working so closely with your husband on something that's, I mean, so precious to you personally, like a solo record?
Well, it's a good question. We have figured out a way that we work best. There was times where we were fighting every time we tried to figure something out, and we figured out, you know, it's best when he goes and works on something and I work on something, and then we come together and see how they fit, as opposed to us trying to work at the same time, because I'm trying to go along with what he's doing and he's trying to go along with what I'm doing, and then we keep changing, and I'm like, no, I want you to keep playing that, and he's like, but I was trying to go with what you're doing, and I'm like, I'm not figuring it out yet. So it's funny to actually get through it after several fights and, you know, walking away angry, and then we figured it out. Oh, this is a lot better.
Yeah,
so.
that seems like a difficult line to walk at times. So to balance that, I'm sure is very important for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
I read that you, before writing this album, you were really sick of hearing songs on the radio about people, like songs telling people to kill themselves and go to hell and stuff like that, which are like some of my personal favorite songs,
yes.
but for different reasons.
I understand.
But I wish the best for those people.
I've had seasons of that too.
Okay, so
it's like, yes, this is my song, this is my message.
Fair enough. So was it something like that inspired you to write this music, or do you think it was a long time coming anyway?
Well, it really was that feeling of turning the radio on and just feeling like, you know, hopelessness and darkness and no way to get out of it, and just like giving up on the idea that there's a way out, you know, like after you turn the radio on. And it just really bothered me, because when I was growing up, that it was good to have somebody that could relate with the darkness that I was going through.
Oh, sure.
But at the same time, if it just left me there, it actually was destructive in my life. And going through depression and being suicidal and stuff like that, it was like to find music that could relate, but also could tell me, you know, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and you're going to be stronger afterwards, and it's going to be okay. You know, that could leave me with hope. That was like super important to me afterwards. So when I hear all these songs and I think about the kids that I have fallen in love with over the past 10 years being in Flyleaf, I think about, yeah, this is true, but what about the other side of the story? They need to hear hope.
You were mentioning that, and I really do think that your story is very much a light at the end of the tunnel type of story. You can read about it in your book, The Reason, and this is definitely really addressed on this new song Impossible that you wrote. talking about living the impossible. So I wanted to know, when you were young, what is it that you thought was impossible that you now find yourself living?
Wow, so many things. When I was young, my mom was a single mom of 6 kids. We struggled financially. We didn't always know where our next meal was going to come from or where we were going to sleep. And I remember when we got a publishing deal, and we got a check that I was able to buy my own house. And it was just a little house, and I got this thrift store couch, and I remember stretching out on my thrift store couch and going, I wrote about this moment in my next book called The Mystery, and just going, thank you, God, for this couch. Because I remember being in a one-room efficiency apartment with 6 people with 2 mattresses on the floor, one for the boys and one for the girls.
Wow.
And we didn't have room for a couch. And I was just like, thank you, God, for this couch. You know, those are things that I've seen. And I know not everybody has a story like that, but to me, I'm able, because I think I saw that. And we found moments, even in those times, it wasn't always dark. You know, I talk about that in The Reason. It feels like when you reflect from a dark place, all of my life was dark. But then when I step back from a healed place, and you're like, you know, there were moments that were really creative because of the situation we were in.
Oh, yeah, of course.
There was so much, joy in moments with my brothers and sisters because we didn't have video games or toys or whatever everybody else had. We had to be creative and figure out. And I've noticed that. I've been, to some country. I went to Haiti after the earthquake. I went to Rwanda with World Vision, and the kids there have such creativity and joy in relationship with each other. They're so relational because they don't have any other thing to do. It just forces them to find ways to distract themselves from being hungry or the fact they don't have parents or whatever. So it's interesting. Every morning I see another miracle. I mean, that line is really about, right, I'm still alive. I mean, that really is about the bottom line, because we may not wake up tomorrow, but yet we did. We woke up today, and so did you. You're a miracle. That's what I think. Well, if you woke up, even like the odds that you would make it through birth and childhood and teenage, and today you're here.
Artists, when they have kids, especially when they've had sort of a dark past, because like you were kind of talking about, the darkness, it never truly leaves. It doesn't consume you, but right, you can still tap into it for creative purposes. And then I think when people have kids, their ability to love becomes much, much deeper.
Yeah.
So you kind of develop this gigantic emotional range.
Yeah.
So with that newfound range, do you find that it helps your songwriting?
Wow, yeah. It's funny, when I had my son, I started writing a bunch of kids' songs,
Okay.
silly songs, it just comes out, wash in the dishes, get them ready for the next meal, it's gonna be delicious.
That'll be a B-side, right?
No, I don't know, but it's funny because my son's sitting there and I have to wash the dishes and I don't want, so it's just, we make it fun. It's funny that you're saying that, because really there was so much that I had to be thankful for. It was hard to think about the dark times when I was so ungrateful, you know what I mean? But there's definitely moments, like my son was, he was very colicky, and we were trying to figure out how to teach him, it's okay, you're not alone in your bed by yourself, you're gonna be fine, you're not hurting, you were fed, you're changed, the world's not ending, and he feels so alone in there, and he's just like, why are you leaving me? You're abandoning me. So it's like, to me, there's moments where I had to, where you can actually relate again to this feeling of actually there's one of the songs on the record that reminds me of those times. And it was written, You're Not Alone.
Oh,
and it's not necessarily for my son, it was actually written after the death of a family member. But it's the same principle. It's so funny because for him, in his mind, it's real. He's my little infant. He feels alone in the world. He doesn't know if I'm coming back. And that's kind of how it's the same feeling when you have a loved one die. or that they feel like they're leaving you, you know, like in this case. And I was writing that song thinking about her not having peace to leave, and she kept flatlining, coming back, you know, and she wanted to make sure everybody knew that they were going to be okay.
Oh my God.
She wanted them to know that she loved them, and when she finally went, it was so peaceful, you know, because she was comfortable. She had said goodbye, and so it's that message of you're not alone, you know. I need to go, but you're not alone if I have to leave. That's kind of what I want to say.
Wow, so the songwriting, I guess it's inspired from tremendous amount. It definitely sounds like that range is there to pick and choose from where you're going to be inspired.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, that's some heavy stuff to write about, that's for sure. So, with when you're going to start touring for this record, can fans expect to hear a couple of Flyleaf songs?
Probably.
Yes?
I mean,
Okay.
we definitely, yes, we'll probably play the things that people want to come hear.
Couple of the favorites?
Yeah. I mean, we have, right now, when we do our set, there's like a medley in the beginning.
Oh, nice.
And we played Chasm, Cassie, and then this medley of all the other songs in the beginning. So there's that. But, you know, Flyleaf, at the time when we had played a couple shows out, Flyleaf was touring. And I just want to make sure that, you know, people, if they want to see Flyleaf, they can go see him still, you know. And we can play some of the songs, you know, but you have to go see Flyleaf to hear Flyleaf. So
now that's a classy move, I think, to not be like, I'm gonna sing all the Flyleaf songs. You can just come see me, right?
Yeah. Well, we have great songs. You know, we have new songs, and it's funny. You know, you tour those other songs for so long, and the weird thing is, people ask me this in interviews before, is that it feels fresh when you're playing for a new audience, because everybody has a different experience of what that means to them.
Oh, sure.
And so you kind of sense it, I do, on stage, like, this means something different to this audience than it did to the last one.